Hey there, it's Red. So today I have a book haul for you guys, and probably long overdue. Now I apologize if the light shifts a lot. I think I'm just choosing probably a poor time of day to choose to film this video, but I need to get it filmed before I leave for class, so try to bear with me. I'm sorry if the light and the shadows keep shifting over my face. It just... bear with me. Now I'm pretty sure that I have not hauled any of these books yet. I'm terrible at keeping track. I don't remember hauling any of these books. I know a few of them I've talked about in other videos, or I listed it in my Chills and Thrills TBR, but I don't think I've actually hauled them in a book haul video. But if I have, if I just forgot that I did it, just ignore it, I guess. Bear with me, I don't know. Let's get started. First book I have for you today is Perfect Chemistry by Simone Elkelis. I feel like the lighting's better if I hold it over here. Something about putting the book over here just makes it darker. I don't know. Am I crazy? There's not even any clouds in the sky. I don't know what the shifting darkness is. I feel like it should at least stay consistent. I don't know. Anyway, Simone Elkelis, Perfect Chemistry. This is one of those books that I had seen around for forever. I've seen this cover in a billion different bookstores over the last few years. And honestly, I never had any interest in it. At all. At all. I mean, look at that cover. It's a stupid cover. Nobody wants, that's one of those ones where people give you weird looks when you're reading this in public. I don't know. It's just ugly, and it doesn't even, I'm not a big fan of people being on covers, but once in a while it's done well, and this is just not. Anyway, I kept hearing that despite the cover, it was actually a really good book. So I picked it up, and oh my god. I absolutely adored this book. I adored it. I absolutely loved it. Basically, you get a rich girl from, the right side of the tracks that gets partnered up in chemistry with Alex Fuentes, who's, a Latino blood member from the wrong side of the tracks, but they go to the same school. They get partnered up together and they hate each other, but they start to kind of slowly become integrated in each other's lives, and they start to fall for each other. It is a contemporary, and just the way it was done is just, it's so well done. It is so well done. I absolutely adore the book. I hate the cover. The cover is so stupid. I hate the cover. But I loved the book. I'm in love with the two characters. I'm in love with them being together. I don't even know how accurately this deals with gang issues, but it does deal with gang issues, and I found that element of the book very, very interesting. I don't own them, but there are two other books which follow his brothers. They're all companion novels, and the second one is about his next youngest brother, and then the third one is about the youngest. And they're actually all really good, and it's kind of cool because you sort of see what happens to the other couples without having to read full books that aren't necessary. The next book I have, which I ordered off Amazon, is Born at Midnight by C.C. Hunter. I cannot tell you what this book is about. I have no clue. But Ray from Rave Sunshine Books kept talking about this book, and she told me that I should really pick it up and read it. So that's exactly what I did. Well, the pick it up part, not the read it part. I haven't read this yet, but, I mean, except for the girl on the cover, it's like a good cover. I don't know. I'm just trusting her opinion, so I will let you know what I think when I get around to reading it. The next book I have for you is Outlander by Diana Gabaldon. This series is now a show on Stars. I believe it's Stars that it's on. And that's how I got into this book. Enya from Enya's Corner is in love with the show, and she kept telling me that I needed to watch it. So one day I was sick, watched the first couple of episodes. Next thing I knew, I was caught up on all 8, which luckily it was easy to catch up because there aren't very many so far. But I fell in love with the world, with the story, with the characters, and it bothered me that there wasn't more to watch. So as a booktuber, the next best thing, or probably the first best thing, go buy the book. So yeah, Enya first starting a new love and addiction, I'm not sure whether or not to thank you yet. The next book I have, which I don't think that I've hauled, I know I've talked about this book a couple of times, but I don't think I've actually hauled it, and that is Horns by Joe Hill. I could have hauled this and I don't remember. If I have, I'm sorry. But basically, this guy is accused of murdering and raping his girlfriend. The entire town thinks he did it. Then horns start to grow out of his head, and I don't really know how this tie into the story, but I know he has to try and find out what really happened to her and who really killed her. The next one I got at a used bookstore about a couple hours from my house, and that is The Devil in the White City by Erik Larson. Now, I've seen this, like, I haven't actually heard anybody talk about this book, but I think I've seen it in a couple of people's hauls. It just seems like nobody's gotten around to reading it. I picked it up because I recognized the cover, and then when I read the back of it, because I didn't know anything about it, I found out that it's about the 1893 Chicago World Fair, and it focuses around the architect of the World Fair, as well as H.H. Holmes. If you've never heard of H.H. Holmes, this was a real person. He built this very elaborate hotel during the fair for people coming in to see the fair, but this hotel doubled as a torture chamber. He basically used the fact that there were tons and tons of people coming through Chicago for the fair and used this hotel to live out his sadistic serial killing whatever hobbies. So, I mean, I don't know. I know this is based on real people, a real event. Like, these things did happen, but I still think that the story is still mostly fictional, just inspired and based on real people. The next book I got, which I ordered off Amazon, is My Life Next Door by Huntley Fitzpatrick. I bought this when I was in a super contemporary mood, but by the time it got here, it was October, and I really just wanted to read horror books, so I haven't read this yet, but I really want to. I keep hearing wonderful, amazing, beautiful things about it, and this is going to be the first book I pick up when I hit my next contemporary mood. The next one I have is Paper Towns by John Green. I loved The Fault in Our Stars. I thought it was amazing, just like pretty much every other girl on the planet. And probably a lot of you guys out there too. And I was just interested in reading more of John Green, and I was between buying this and looking for Alaska, but I decided to go ahead and get Paper Towns since this is the one that is becoming a movie, and I want to read it before the movie comes out. So yeah, Paper Towns. Next, which I don't think that I've hauled, is Where She Went by Gail Foreman. I really liked If I Stay. I liked the book. I liked the movie. I wasn't in love with it. It didn't make me cry. I wasn't like punched in the heart with feelings. But overall, I enjoyed the story. I enjoyed learning about the characters. And I did like it. So I got the sequel. But I haven't been in the mood to read it. So I didn't want to ruin it for myself by reading it when I didn't feel like reading it. So I know I'll make my way back around and I'll want to read this. So why do I keep saying so much? I don't know. I'm sorry. Kind of. The next one I have for you guys is Everybody Sees the Ants by A.S. King. The only other A.S. King book I own is Dust of 100 Dogs, which I believe that's what it's called. I haven't read that one, and I haven't read this one yet. I keep hearing wonderful things about A.S. King. We all know that Ariel Bissett is in love with A.S. King, but I've heard from several other people that her books are just really good, and I think it's ridiculous that I haven't read anything by her yet. So now I own 2 books and I haven't read either, so clearly I'm doing so well on that front. The next book I have is Sold by Patricia McCormick. Now, a few years ago I read this book called 1,000 Pieces of Gold about a Chinese girl that gets sold. Her family sells her, and then eventually she ends up, you know, being owned and in prostitution, and she gets shipped over to America, and it was really, really interesting seeing her journey. It had to do with real life issues. I really like reading books that deal with things that really do happen, these very disturbing, horrible things, and just how sad it is. And I wanted to read this because this is about a Nepalese girl that gets sold into prostitution in India, and I really, really liked this book. It was so interesting being inside her head. I ate this book up. Like, I had it read so fast. I read this book within a few hours. It's really easy to just fly through because it's not that big, and it's written in verse, so you just fly through it really fast. What is with the sun? But yeah, you just fly through it really fast, and it's just very beautifully written. And I enjoyed seeing the journey of this girl despite how sad her situation was. And it's horrifying to me that this happens. This really happens. Sex trafficking is a horrible, horrible world issue. The next few books I have for you, I bought at that same used bookstore, the one that's 2 hours from my house. The first book is To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. I have already read this book. I read this a long time ago, and I've always loved this book. A lot of people love this book, and that's because it's amazing, and it is one of the greatest works of American literature. It's incredible. Then I have One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I don't know what it is about this book. I could never be bothered to buy it new. Even though it's accessible from Amazon, it's accessible from Barnes & Noble, I could never ever be bothered to buy it brand new. But whenever I went to a used bookstore, I would deliberately seek this book out. Like, specifically this book. And I have no idea why. Like, clearly I wanted it enough that I would seek it out whenever I went to these used bookstores. If I couldn't find it on my own, I would ask a person working there if they had it, which I did with no other book. I don't know. I don't know why, but whatever, I finally got this. I was actually with my mom at this used bookstore, and she asked for me because she's aware of my journey to find this book in a used bookstore, and this was the only one that they had, and it was it's a little yellowed, but it's in really good condition, and I love One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. It's absolutely one of my favorite books. If you haven't read it, just read it. It's weird, but it's incredible. The next one I got throws me off when the author's name is above the title, but Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. I've read this book before. I don't know very many people that haven't, but I just thought it was dumb that I didn't own it. I really like Pride and Prejudice. I like Pride and Prejudice and Zombies a little bit more, but that's just because there's zombies in it. But Pride and Prejudice I really do enjoy, and it was just stupid that I didn't own it. The next one I got there, and I got this for $5, which was just insane to me, because it's hardcover and in basically new condition. It's perfect. It's perfect. And it cost me $5. And I can't even imagine that. It's just crazy to me. But I did. I found it for $5, and that is 1,000 Splendid Suns by Khaled Hosseini. I hope I didn't butcher his name, and I probably did. I have not read any Khaled Hosseini books, but I keep seeing them around. The Kite Runner, I can't remember the name of the other one. Echo in the Mountains, something like that. Something to do with an echo and mountains is another title of his. But I keep hearing that these books are just insanely good and incredible. And this goes right back to the more serious subjects, learning about other cultures, learning about issues, even if it's through fictional work that's based off of real lives and real issues. So I think this one's going to be interesting to read. I started reading it, and then I put it down so that I could read Sold, and by then my mood was kind of satisfied. So next time I hit that I want an intense subject mood, this is going to be my go-to. This one I bought off of Amazon, or these I bought off of Amazon, and that is the box set for the Infernal Devices trilogy. I've read the first 3 Mortal Instruments books. I have yet to read the 4, 5, and 6, and I haven't read these yet. But Emma from Emma's Books is in love with the Mortal Instruments and everything to do with Cassandra Clare, so she kept telling me that I needed to get to these, and I did want to read them. I really did, it just never got around to it. So now I have them, and honestly, they're gorgeous. They're so pretty. I can't even get over how much I love these covers and this box set, and I don't know why I haven't made this a priority already, because and I do love the Mortal Instruments too, and I keep hearing these are insanely good, so yeah, I gotta get on that. But if you don't know what's in the Infernal Devices trilogy, you got Clockwork Angel, Clockwork Prince, and finally Clockwork Princess. The next 2 books are also from Amazon. One is Nightmares by Jason Segel, yes, the same Jason Segel, the actor from How I Met Your Mother, and Kristen Miller. This is a middle grade book, which I recently read for the Chills and Thrills readathon. I am so tired of this fighting. And I don't usually read middle grade books, but as soon as I saw this in, I think it was Jesse the Reader's book haul video, I think it was in one of his videos that I even found out this book existed. I didn't even hear anything about it, just that Jason Segel co-wrote it. And I adore Jason Segel. Forgetting Sarah Marshall is one of my favorite movies. I adore this man, and I will read his grocery lists. I actually really like this book. Normally I'm not a huge middle grade book person, but I loved this book. It was just so fun, and it was a fun, fast read. It was a fun, fast read, and I really liked it. And I think there's going to be more. I think there's going to be a sequel to this. I don't know how many books they plan on writing, but I know there's at least going to be a sequel. And considering how much I loved this book, I'm going to be all over the next one. And the next one I have is The Elite by Kiera Cass. I have already read all of the selection books, but I only had them on my Nook in ebook format. And I love this trilogy so much that I know it's a trilogy that I'm going to want to reread at some point in the future because I just enjoyed it that much. So I wanted to have physical copies of these books because I love them, and having them in ebook just wasn't enough for me. So I just kind of buying a book here and there once in a while. All I need is the one now. And besides, these covers are gorgeous. I want these on my shelf. Now finally, because I just got back from Southern California where I spent the weekend with Kelly from Kelly's Book Spell, with Selena from Snap 13, Sierra, which you'll see a lot in Selena's videos, and Sarah, there's Sierra and Sarah, which you'll see in a lot of Kelly's videos. So I spent the weekend with them, and I got to meet Cassie from Miss Sassy Cassie, as well as Nashley from Real Readers Inc. That's the name of our channel, Real Readers Inc. It was just a great weekend. It really was. It was so much fun, and we got to go to the last bookstore in LA, and we also went to the Barnes & Noble in the Grove in LA, which was huge. Now I'll probably make another video talking more about the weekend, maybe, probably. Now for what I got at the last bookstore, I picked up Frankenstein by Chris Grimley. Basically, this is a graphic novel of Frankenstein, and I just thought the illustrations were just amazing. This is just gorgeous to me. I fell head over heels in love with this book, and I needed it in my life. I needed this in my life. The other book I bought from the last bookstore is this big fashion book that has beautiful illustrations. It's huge. I would know because my arms just about fell off from carrying it around. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's got a huge pink cover, and it's in my living room right now, not in here, which is why I don't have it here to show you, and I'm just too lazy to go get it. So sorry, but yeah, I got a big, cool, awesome fashion book that covers the history of fashion, and it was really, I don't know, I thought it was cool. Now from the Barnes & Noble in the Grove, I picked up In the Shadow of Blackbirds by Kat Winters. I feel like horror tends to be the really in thing right now for YA because I saw so many horror books, which for me is great because I love horror. One thing to know, when I go into a physical bookstore, if I go into a used bookstore, I will buy, when I go into Barnes & Noble, the only time I ever buy something that I've actually heard about on BookTube or I've seen around and I know a lot about it even without reading it, is if I'm buying a sequel to something, or if I need something and I don't have the time to wait the couple days for it takes to ship to me. So most of the TBR lists that I've created because I've heard about books on BookTube or from another source or because somebody's recommended it to me, I just order those. But when I go into Barnes & Noble, I go into Barnes & Noble because I want to find hidden gems. I want to see a cover that intrigues me that I've never seen before, that I haven't seen on BookTube or from anybody else, just one that I'm simply seeing on the shelf. Read the synopsis and see if it sounds interesting. I just want to find something on my own because prior to BookTube, that's how I used to find all my books. And I loved it when I would come across a book that just was so amazing and I knew that I found it on my own. So I now created that as a rule for myself. When I go to Barnes & Noble, I'm there to pick things up that I have not heard of before. They can be by an author I've heard of, but the actual book, the cover, everything, it has to be foreign to me. So that's what these books are, is they're just books that I picked up. And I'm sure you guys might have even picked them up or read them. But for me, when I bought them, I had not heard of them. I had not seen them before. And that's what I love. So I'm really hoping that I will get a couple of hidden gems out of these 3 books. And again, In the Shadows of Blackbirds by Kat Winters. This one has to do with the 1918 influenza. 1918, yeah. The 1918 influenza. She's in San Diego, California, and it deals with the turn of the century kind of explosion with psychics and mediums and communication with spirits. And she doesn't believe, she thinks they're all hoaxes and frauds, but then she comes to realize that spirits might be a little bit more real than she originally thought. Historical fiction, horror, paranormal, ghosts, this is it for me. I had to have it. The next one I have is called The Summoning by Hilary Monahan. First, look at this cover. This is like what a horror cover should look like. This is a good horror cover. This is exactly what a horror cover should look like. And it just... But this book is about teenage girl. I believe they're teenage girls. It's in the YA section, so I'm assuming that, yeah. 4 teenage girls that try to summon Mary Worth, aka Bloody Mary. Between the cover and the fact that they are talking about Bloody Mary, that's really all it took, and it just sounds so cool, and I'm so excited, and this is getting moved up in my TBR because it just... Finally, the last one I have for you, which I got at that Barnes & Noble, is Sweet Unrest by Lisa Maxwell. I mean, I like the cover. It's got a creepy gate on it. I'm not entirely sure what this is about. I just saw the words Old Plantation, New Orleans, and Souls. Yeah, I needed it. I have an obsession with New Orleans and Louisiana. I love the idea of spirits and ghosts and those types of paranormal horror books. And plantations. I love plantations, old mansions, that type of thing. I am just weirdly obsessed with that whole thing. So all I really needed to see were those 3 words, and I was just like, this needs to be in my life. So I'm really, really hoping that this doesn't bite me like Asylum did. I'm really, really hoping, but it sounds okay. We'll see. So that is all for this book haul. I am really, really sorry about the lighting constantly shifting again, but you know, gotta make videos when I have the time. I am officially late for class, but now you've seen my book haul for the, I don't know, it's my last book haul. I am really, really excited about the new books that I have because they're beautiful and they look wonderful on my shelf and they sound really, really cool. I will have more videos up soon, and I will talk to you guys later.